Hello snowboarders of the internet, I'm your host Avran LeFeber, and in this video we're going to be reviewing the Salomon Super 8. This board features Salomon's backseat camber, which is just a set back traditional camber with a longer flat section through the nose. So what this does is it gives you all that power and snap off the rear foot, but it gives you ease of entry in and out of turns as well as more optimal float from that flat section in the front. This board is available in 151, 154, 157, 160, 163, and 166. I rode this board at Arapahoe Basin on a day that was a mix of blue skies and overcast. There was hot pow. It was warmer temps with warmer snow. You had lumpy mashed potatoes, chunder, creamy corduroy, light blower snow in the shade. It was just a mix of spring conditions because it was a spring pow day, and I rode it with my Rome black label bindings and my K2 Thraxis boots. So with this board you have a full directional, middle of the road flex. Softer nose that progressively stiffens up as it hits that camber section back through the tail, with the tail obviously being the stiffest section of the board. There's a fair amount of torsional flex so you can really twist it and you feel it. And the same can be said about how the stability is on this board. As you get closer to the tail, it gets stiffer. So what you're going to get is chatter that goes through the front foot and starts to dissipate by the middle of the board and is completely gone by the tail. Obviously, with it being the stiffer section, you're going to notice that the tip will flap and flutter at high speeds, and in rutted out terrain it might get bucked around, so keep those knees bent. You're just going to feel everything pretty much in that front foot, but the back foot is going to be more stable. With this board having that setback camber, all the pop comes from that rear foot, so this is where you're actually going to be loading it up. The nice thing is you don't have to actively fight to load this thing up. It's just going to be able to load up and spring right back out. But the big thing is don't skip leg day, because you're only relying on one leg to load this whole board up with all your weight shifted back. Softer flex and a flat section with a set back camber. Obviously the nose is going to be optimal for buttering on. You're going to be able to pop a 180, feel it lock in, and it's not really going to fight you or spring right back out, so you can just sort of swivel it back around. On the tail, you end up sitting outside that insert pack. You feel that camber section in there, which does give you some spring, so you're going to end up popping out of anything you do. But realistically, you're going to be riding this thing in pow, doing pow butters, so who really gives a shit? This board has a smooth edge-to-edge roll, but with that setback camber, you end up getting a lot of power out of your turns, just the way that this thing's designed for. This thing rips in tight tree settings or bank slaloms. You notice that even as you roll and engage out at that front contact point, you're still driving it off the tail. That's where it is. It brings that steering back underfoot, but with more power under the rear foot. So as you're just doing minor ankle flexion under that front foot to drive the steering, you're pushing from that rear one to snap it through a turn. There's a lot of power, as I've already said, in this thing. You can lay this board over. It's a breeze to just turn on this thing, but you can be so calculated that you just chop through everything in your path. This is a great board for railing turns. Who's this board for? The bank slalom freeride guy. Nothing's changed since the last time I rode this board. It's just nice to get on something and do a refresher every once in a while. What was nice about this day was that we had heavy pow, and it just started to form these tracks when it would harden up, where you would just be zipping in and out of everything, which was good for testing how much power came out of the tail of this board. And there's a lot of power in this. This board is great for just ripping turns, as I've already said. It's a fun board that I think gets overlooked in the Salomon lineup. Comparable boards: the Korua Otto, the Rome Ravine, the Rosinal Sashimi. Binding recommendations: the Salomon Hologram, the Rome Vice, the K2 lineup. This has been my review of the Salomon Super 8. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you own one? Are you going to buy one? Leave me a comment down below. Let's have a conversation about this snowboard. If you're new here, remember to subscribe, click the bell, get those notifications. That way you're not missing any of the videos we got coming out for all you snowboarders of the internet. And if you really like what we're doing over here and you want to support us further, swing on over to Angry Snowboarder VIP and become a member. Sure, I could tell you more here, but I got a video over there that explains it so much better. As always, I've been your host, Avran LeFeber, and I'll see you in another video.